These are the events of the Omphalos expedition. A role-play adventure of sorts based in lore, yet adding characters created by myself and using speculation to build a story narrative. As such, some of the details within this story is not to be regarded as lore, and this project should be looked upon as fanfiction. I will not be touching on any of the core subjects still unfinished by Frontier Development. If you are not interested in playwritten stories, then I advise you stop watching now. When the Piri Reis arrived in the port of Jacques station for the first time, I pondered as to where my next adventures would take me. Indeed, the journey back to the core systems would have took me several days, plotting through systems untouched by any intelligent life. So many months alone, with only my ship's computer as company. Travelling had become the centre of my existence. My ship had become my home. Exploration had motivated me to confine myself to these composite walls, enthralled by some of the most spectacular sights this galaxy has to offer. Sitting on a pad on one of the most mysterious human installations in history, I thought to myself, it wouldn't hurt getting a drink and maybe catching up with the famous Jacques himself. So I did just that. The vast selection of drinks was surprising to me, with everything from Alioth IPA to Lavian brandy. To keep a bar this far out so well stocked of some of the university's most select alcoholic beverages was a great accomplishment in itself. "Let me guess you're a pina colada kind of guy," he said to me, knocking me off my train of thought as to what I was going to say to him. I responded as anyone would who has not interacted with fellow humans for several months, nervously. Many of the subjects me and Jacques spoke about I will cover some other time, but one story, one adventure, I can divulge with you. Today I regard it as Expedition Omphalos. Back then I regarded it as the path to Raxler. Jacques had loaned me one of the many ships in his itinerary, a B-rated Mamba with enough firepower I required for the job he was about to task for me. Jacques had encountered many things in this galaxy, but one of the things that concerned him the most at that time was a group of unregistered Black Flight pilots who were conducting assassinations of exploration pilots within the colony region of space. One such pilot, who he regarded as a personal friend, was shuttling some information that Jacques had requested. Information that could have led to a major discovery that Jacques was unwilling, at that time, to discuss with me. He wanted me to help with his investigation into this group. Suited and booted in my exosuit, I stood in inspection of the vessel he loaned out to me. It reminded me of a 21st century sports car in its sleek lines and chiseled features. The first task that Jacques set out for me was the elimination of a low-level pirate who was connected with the group that Jacques had his sights cast upon. He told me that this pirate, Birch his name was, had at one time lived on board the station, but Jacques had him booted off the facility for selling onion head to the adolescent inhabitants of this station. Once, Jacques had given this individual a chance to flee with his life in the hope that he would seek redemption and make amends for the crimes he committed, but after his name was connected to a series of weapon shipments that were stolen from a nearby colony, his cards were marked. Apparently, the pirates who raided that settlement had not only broken into the restricted areas, causing a firefight between them and the security personnel, they had also executed the survivors that had surrendered after this altercation. This man had been marked for death, and Jacques had information that he was travelling alone in the Ogmar system. An excellent chance for me to make a bit of money and an excellent chance for Jacques to test my capabilities. Powering up the fusion reactor on board the Mamba, the hum of that ship's heart was somewhat alien to me. So long had I spent on board the Piri Reis, I had become so used to the sounds of her that I no longer heard them when on board. Hearing that frequency change dramatically took me a while to get used to. Although not the best tuned Mamba a pilot could obtain, she was still a Mamba, and boy oh boy did I love that ship once I got used to her. Reaming out the toast rack, with the legs of 1,000,001 horses, she rode like a Mustang. Fighting the muscle memory I had obtained with the Phantom, I come to terms with the Mamba's raw aggression. Testing the ship, I decided to manoeuvre around the fleet carrier berth outside the station in an attempt to tame this wild beast. Boosting for the first time, I nearly broke my neck as she pummeled through the structure of the berth. I would have to be careful with this one, I thought to myself. Easing into the seat, she finally abated as I come to terms with its handling characteristics and settled into the controls of one of the galaxy's most notorious hot rods. I jumped into the Ogmar system and scanned the nav beacon in search of this individual. Locking onto his engine signal, I headed towards him and prepared myself mentally for an engagement. It seemed that Birch had been tipped off, and in his amphetamine-laced confidence, he decided to turn about and interdict my vessel from supercruise. I naturally granted this request. As I dropped from supercruise, his Cobra immediately opened fire, glancing blows off the rear of my vessel, doing little damage. I turned about face and opened up on him as he came in for another pass. The bark of my autocannons rattling the seat of the Mamba. Pulling out of the fire, he attempted to evade, but stupidly he arced his ship straight in front of the angry teeth of the Mamba. Instantly melting his shield array, I rattled superheated shells into the rear of his Cobra, punching straight through his shoddily maintained armour. The shells releasing their explosive-laced poison within the organs of his ship. One of the high-caliber shells hit his fusion core directly, and his ship was transformed into background radiation. The first task was simple. Even in those times, I had enough combat experience to deal with such a low-level threat as Birch. I guess it was never intended to be much of a challenge, just a verification of my combat rating for Jacques to be confident of the task he would set ahead for me. I remember the feeling of adrenaline, so much that my next actions must have been influenced by what I was about to do. Squawking on the distress channel, a group of ships was under attack. Naturally, in my state of confidence, I obliged his request and headed straight for them. Dropping in, I nearly collided with an anaconda, which it now appears was one of the contacts who were under attack. It was Birch's friends, Milanov's Reavers. With the same onion-laced confidence of their friend, they were attempting to engage a couple of anacondas in their poorly maintained Cobras. Selecting the first target, who was bouncing light off one of the anacondas, I obtained a firing arc and opened up on him, with a similar effect to Birch. The next target had dropped DCM, and as such was causing the targeting system to my ship to miss him. Eventually, as the ECM ran its course, my ship locked onto his engines and punched straight through the cowling into the core of his cobra, ending this engagement. As I powered down, I noticed something that immediately got my attention. Noticing the ship's ident, I read the word Galcop. Finding it strange, as this group had been disbanded so many years ago. For the time being, it seems I would not have the answers to who these pilots were exactly. They squawked their thanks briefly and jumped into supercruise. Review of ship systems had completed. All weapon systems had been analysed and cleared of unspent casings. I set course for Jacques, spooling up the FSD. Suddenly, one of my monitors started to transmit static into audio. Thinking at first that the monitor had received damage in the engagement, I switched it off, only for the monitor on the right to repeat this sound. As I looked over at the monitor, for a fraction of a second, I'm sure I glanced upon the silhouette of a face. As quickly as it appeared in my eyes, it left, only to leave the same static signal that was filling my cockpit for a brief moment after. At this time, I did not take notice of this event, marking it down as some kind of malfunction in the ship's systems, as when I checked the ship's computer systems, any measure of this event was absent. After this first exciting day, I head back to Jacques' station for repair and a drink, knowing that I had done a good day's work. After parking up the Mamba, I headed for Jacques' bar to get a drink. Seating at the front of the bar, I removed my helm with my hair dishevelled, cheeks are red, and ordered an Alioth IPA. Jacques served me and asked if the job was complete. Responding to his question, his cybernetic face lit up, and he gave me the drink on the house and accredited my account with my pay. Not a bad first day, I thought to myself at this time. Little did I know what I was getting myself into. If you wish to become a voice character in the series, then please use the email link below to register your interest. Please state your name and your nationality on the email. I am looking for a broad section of people from different parts of the world. The only requirements are that you can speak the lines in English and you have a half decent mic. All successful candidates will be named in the end of each episode they feature in. I look forward to hearing from you. If you like these types of stories, please feel free to like and comment below. I have set up a Teespring if you wish to support the channel further, with t-shirts, hoodies, face masks and mugs available to purchase at a reasonable price. If you wish to become a named supporter of the channel, then please use my Ko-fi page linked below. Any donation will get your name on the next episode's credits. If you are new, please consider subscribing to my channel. All these things help the channel to continue to grow. Cheers.